Evet, 9.sunu yaptığımız kongremize Imascon 2022 Autumn'ın 2022 Güz Kongresi'ne hoş geldiniz. Welcome to Imascon 2022 Autumn Congress panel. First, I'd like to invite dear Professor Luis. Okay. Dear Luis, the presentation is here.
Okay, I talk.
Yes.
Sit.
Yes.
In sit. Okay. No, just.
Please go.
It's here, Mustafa. Yes. Oh, to put.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Professor Mustafa. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here. It's a pleasure. And I came from Portugal, from the Polytechnic and University of Coimbra. It's in the middle of Portugal. And my presentation, I hope not to bore you because I am a mechanical engineer. And I work in biomechanics. So I chose to talk about the applied biomechanics and some of the goals of sustainability. And this is the place where I was born, where I live and where I work. Coimbra is the city of students in Portugal, also known as the city of the health. And I am a teacher, as I told you, in the mechanical engineering department, also the ombudsman of the Polytechnic of Coimbra at this moment. And when we talk about sustainability or sustainable development goals, we can find 17 different goals all around. I chose just to show you concerning my work, 3 of them, namely the third one, good health and well-being, the quality of education, and also the partnership for the goals. And on these ways, we can say that the engineers have an important role in the health and well-being. Particularly, as a mechanical engineer, I believe that the mechanical engineers working on applied biomechanics can give a strong contribution on this way. And of course, all the higher education schools have an important role. And you can connect this with, for example, the partnership for the goals, teamwork, multidisciplinary research work. This is very, very important. Work with companies, but not only with companies, with hospitals. We have the experience here in Coachella University. It's very, very important. Concerning quality of education, students working inside the projects, learning by doing, not just learning, going outside the protection, the egg protection of the school, go to talk with others, to make research with others, and work with other discipline teams like doctors, like economists, and so on. So these 3 different types can be connected, and particularly with higher education universities, we can found very important roles to the goals that we must, as soon as possible, try to implement in all the world. And these are simple 3 of them: teaching methodology, soft skills, and learning by real situations. And I'm going to present you with 2 situations from my laboratory, the Applied Biomechanics Laboratory. This first situation was developed by Inês Cruz, a student from mechanical engineering department. Is the final thesis of the student. I was the supervisor, but inside the supervision team, we have other colleagues, Vitor Maranha, Fernando Moita, Diolinda, and Nuno Cruz. And they are from different disciplines, electronics and also mathematics. And in the team, we have also two doctors from maybe the most important hospital in Portugal concerning the rehabilitation purposes. The name is Rubis Pai. So we have George and Philippe, two very important doctors working with us. And we have developed a system for a problem that is very, very important for women. Women that cannot, I'm sorry, I don't know the correct name in English. So think about a woman that have get troubles. It cannot be without some kind of help. She needs someone to take care about this, to help her to pee. Cannot do it by herself. This system that have been developed with this team can avoid this problem. It can benefit the women to be autonomous on this procedure. How it works? Here we can see a real patient testing the device. And last one is the device. But I may be better to show you. This is a simple film of the patient working with the device. The device have a micro motor inside to open the legs, and after other type of systems. Here you can see better. All the systems have been in prototype. The person put the system between the two legs, is motor controlled with a micro camera if needed to help, for example, a woman that cannot see but can see by some type of phone, some type of electronic a PC or other type of things can help her to make herself this type of important daily life movement. So this is the first project. The second one, also in a teamwork and also with the same two doctors. I chose these two types with the same doctors because we work very well with them. The name is Natasha, a girl finishing the master thesis. And there is a movement very important for all of us. We do that movement a lot of times during the day. Is this type of movement. Just sit to stand and to sit. For us, maybe for all of us in the room is not so bad. But for elder people, for example, for people with problems, for other pupils who need some rehabilitation purposes, it's very, very important to assist them, but also to check the rehabilitation of the person. So these students have developed a system. This is the concept of the system. In fact, is some type of mechanical simple device. Is something that we can say, but two structures talk with us and say to us what is the force applied. Here is the concept, also with electronic purposes, with the movement, the real prototype in the laboratory, the interface, we can see in the right, the interface with the person or with the doctor or with someone else. And here we can check in real one volunteer from the hospital checking the movement. This device have been tested have been is in publication now. We wait for publication in an international journal. The other one have been published. So not to boring you, some final remarks. Recent events shows the necessity to go forward and achieve sustainability goals. And all around the world, all the countries must be able to advance in the development and the implementation of these strategies. And I strongly believe that higher education institutions have here an important role in the society, particularly in the terms of training of the students and their involvement in the social context. And in these processes, all the skills that the students can acquire, they will be the next generation. So all the skills now concerning all of these, health and well-being, should be important for the future. And I finish my presentation. Thank you so much. In Portuguese, obrigado. And I left you with a congress next year in Portugal. If you want to come, you are welcome. It's the congress in biomechanics. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the valuable information to give Prof. Luis. I would like to invite to Albania. Just a minute. Great. Thank you. Okay, are you ready? Right.
Hi, everybody. As an economist, I have chosen a paper with economic situation, and I have tried to analyze the situation of CPI, that is the Consumer Price Index, because economists knows, for the Balkan countries, that are some of them, not all the Balkan countries. For this chosen it was made because not for all the countries of the Balkan have data. So the paper is what drives consumer price index changes, an empirical analysis of selection of Western Balkan countries. And overview is background and motivation, data and methodology, regression result and discussion, which we'll see each one by one. And as economists, we know that according to the theory, there are supply side and demand side factors that influence in the trend of CPI during time. Just to say that CPI is a measure for the inflation that economists use to see that how the situation of inflation has been for the period that you choose. Supply side analysis is strictly related to the higher production cost and the consequential behavior of enterprises. causing a rise in general level of prices. That means that the inflation is caused not only for the demand factors, but only for the supply factors. The so-called cost push approach is related to the scarcity of raw materials in the world market and the exposure of different countries to the external economic shocks, such as commodity price volatility and the exchange rate depreciation. Background of the CPI trend, Instat is the Institute of Statistics of Albania, where according to them, for the year that we are now, 2022, consumer price index in April of this year arrived at 109.7%. That is really a big figure. That is not only for caused by the COVID period, but also from the war in Ukraine that in April has only just started, but take the impact in the CPI on Albania. The annual rate of consumer price index, or CPI, in April was 6.2%. That means that inflation it was going higher in this period, and also is going higher in this moment also. And if we compare, the graph has the figure one, or the graph has the data from August 2020. That means that are for 2 years. And we see that until maybe May of 21 last year has been almost the same situation, but from last year and on is going on only in high. Here also is the CPI trend for the countries that we have taken in consideration, that are Balkan countries, some of them. Albania, Kosovo, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Croatia, North Macedonia. As we see from the graphs, they have almost the same trend, but except the Serbia, that has narrow of this is more than other countries. And as we see after, we can see why this happens in Serbia, which are the factors that are affected this kind of graph for the Serbia. What is the methodology and the data used in the paper? We used the panel data for a selection of Western Balkan countries, because, as I said before, not for all we had data to use. And the period is 2005-2020. And the method used is generalized methods of moments, or known as the GMM. Models, and this is in the paper are the independent variables for the supply side model, as we said before, and also for the demand side model. For the first one are only two variables, that are wheat price, world wheat price, sorry, and the world oil price. And for the second model is independent variables are a log of GDP, remittances, government expenditure, broad money and importance, and sure that dependent variables is CPI in both of cases. This is international market trends for the two supply factors that we mentioned before. That is Europe Brent for spot price, and is dollar per barrel, and average wheat price, that is dollar per vessel. As we see, that is a not normal graph for the fuel. For the first one, the blue one, that show us the trend of the prices of fuel during these times. Especially because until year 2003, as we see, has been almost the same situation, but after we have up and down of the graph. But more steadily is the graph for the wheat price. But as you see, the data are not for the year 2000. Sorry. For the year 2020, because we all now know that the price of wheat has changed because the war in Ukraine. These are the regression results for all the independent variables that we take in consideration, also for the CPI. We see from the regression result that the only figure that we have to take in consideration for the variables is that GDP growth and GDP per capita has a relation between them that is more than 0.8. That is the let's say the border that's not to be passed. So that means that we can't take both two variables in consideration. We have to take only one because they are too more related with each other and can't give us the results that we know. So we will continue only with one of them. And these are also some other tests and models that are using for our model that are so economist ones. So I think that also continue with regression results, and now these regression are for each country. First are regression results for Albania. Continue with the results of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Kosovo, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Serbia. But what is important to stress from this all these tables is that we can see that are a lot of factors that influence the situation of the CPI, not only for Albania, for all of these countries. One of these factors or variables, it was the broad money growth that is of course factors that influence strongly the CPI. That in case of Serbia and Montenegro, this effect negatively influence the consumer price index. That means that broad money growth and CPI has diverse effect to each other. As expected, the global wheat price positively impacts CPI in North Macedonia, Croatia, Kosovo, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Imports, another factor, statistically increase CPI in Serbia and Montenegro. But quite interesting is the negative relationship for us economists between CPI and government spending in the analysis of North Macedonia, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. That is, in fact, is not so normal, but is something that is quite clear in these countries. In fact, me and my colleagues don't have so much time, or it was not our goal to analyze this, but during our preparation, we see this kind of fact, and this will be in the future to be more analyzed by us. Also, empirical results show that CPI in short run is statistically influenced by the lag of CPI. In contrary, in the long run, CPI is positively related to the variables of imports and global wheat price. And this relationship is statistically significant only for 2 countries of the sample and not for all. World oil Brent, as I see before, wheat price, global wheat price, and world oil price are 2 independent variables that affect the supply side. And the world oil Brent, price and wheat price have a positive sign, but only the later one. That means that wheat price is statistically significant in the models that we estimated. And this outcome may be related with the fact that the countries chosen are small and are also open economies. That is not so related with literature. Since government spending seems to lower CPI of some countries of the sample, further investigation is needed to better understand the type and nature of central public policies adopted. So that as I seen before, this was interesting for countries like North Macedonia, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. That means that more government spending seems to lower make that the CPR to be lower in some of these countries. And as I said before, we need to make further investigation related to this. And our estimation results have policy implications since we notice that government spending have an evident effect on CPI in these countries that I mentioned before. This is the last one. In this way, by increasing government expenditure in some economies, we may obtain reduction in CPI. So that means that if government make more expenditure and investments, this will reduce the CPI. But this needs, as I said before, more. However, further investigation is needed to evaluate in why this public policy is consistent if there are other variables that affect CPI. That we say before that are government expenses, but we can't analyze what kind of government expenses cause the reduction of CPI. Following the interesting empirical results, deeper analysis is needed, maybe including other micro-financial variables, and maybe using another methodology different from what that we have used in our paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the valuable and satisfying information about Flora. Flora gives the case of economy. We will use this and we will be rich, inshallah. Okay. Ludmila, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Just a moment. Okay.
Just a moment.
Can you assist me with my presentation or yeah?
Just a moment.
But Mustafa, I will
okay,
ask.
Ludmila,
Yes.
you can share. You can share your screen. Please try.
Okay, I will try. If will be some problems, I will ask about your help. Just a moment.
Just a moment. Okay, there's no problem.
Just a moment. Just a moment.
Please click arrow icon from below screen.
Just a moment. I don't know.
Bottom of screen.
Moment. I'm trying. I need permission for demonstration of screen.
Yes, permission is ready.
Yeah, because computer, I got just now message. Okay.
Please click full screen. Okay. Can you see arrow icon? Okay.
I don't see nothing. Just a moment, okay?
Please click on PowerPoint. Yes.
Do you see my screen now? I apologize.
Yes, yes. We can see now.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to invite Prof. Ludmila Simoko from Ukraine, but Ludmila Simoko now participating is from Portugal.
Yes.
Okay, dear Ludmila. Please.
Hello everyone. As my colleague told, at this moment I'm working in Portugal, but today I would like to talk about a very important topic. First of all, for my country, and not only for my country, actually for all world. And in my topic, I would like to combine actually previous also themes about what talk my colleagues. It's sustainable development goals, and also my colleague Flora analyzed the situation generally and reason what is going on because of war in Ukraine. So today I would like to talk about ecocide in Ukraine, assessment of war impact on environment. Since the war in Ukraine began, according to the Ministry of Environmental Protection and the Natural Resources of Ukraine, the environmental damage has already exceeded more than 37 billion euros. And we published with my colleagues some papers. We analyzed how war in Ukraine will impact for achieving sustainable development goals. Of course, it's not only a problem for our country, and it's a huge problem for all world. That, of course, changes we can feel everywhere. If we analyze the impact of war in Ukraine, first of all, it's a huge impact. I'm now telling as ecologist, first of all, it's a huge impact on environment and including biodiversity. Why it's so important to analyze? First of all, biodiversity provides many goods and services essential to life on Earth. And the loss of those resources can create the conditions responsible for morbidity or mortality. And according to the concept, the One Health, only in healthy environment could be a healthy nation, healthy people. And human health and well-being are influenced by the health of local plant, animals, community. So all those things are interconnected. If we will analyze, the current rate of global biodiversity loss is estimated to be more than 101,000 times higher than natural extinction, and is faster than in any time of human history before. And of course, that such rapid biodiversity losses have promoted scientists to declare like current biodiversity crisis. And here you can see the most important threats for biodiversity. It's land and sea use change, pollution, species overexploitation, climate changes, invasive species, and disease. This information was provided in by FAO and WWF in 2020. So it was before war in Ukraine. And for nowadays, of course, we can add another sixth threat. It's a war, what is going on in our country. And Russian aggressors' activities in Ukraine's territory considered by the world community and the International Environment Protection Organization as ecocide. It's not new word. Actually, this word appeared in I think after war in Vietnam. But what is ecocide? Ecocide is a massive damage of flora and fauna, contamination of water resources, atmosphere, and other actions that can cause an ecological catastrophe. And I would like to pay attention. When we are talking about catastrophe, many people thinking that Ukraine, oh, it's very far from Europe and so on. Really, it's very, very close. And of course, what is going now in Ukraine will impact on environment, not only on regional, but also on global level. And during the 9 months of the war, the State Environmental Inspection of Ukraine collected data what actually caused Russian aggression in our country. So more than 1,800 square meters of soils polluted with harmful substances. More than 2 million square meters of land is littered with remains of destroyed objects and ammunition. More than 600,000 tons of petroleum products were burned during the shelling, which actually resulted in significant air pollution. More than 23,000 hectares of forest were burned by rockets and projectiles, and it will take at least 10 years to restore some of the forest areas. And today I read last news about the situation and assessment according to ecological inspection, and more than 30% of territory of Ukraine are mined. And they, when they did assessment, it will be necessary approximately 10 years to demine all those territories. 7 million square meters of objects were destroyed, including critical infrastructure, which also caused significant damage to Ukraine's environment. For now, there's currently 22% of Ukraine's nature conservation areas affected by war, so it's very high percentage. And the war in Ukraine, among other things, destroys biotopes and especially valuable territories where various species of animals exist, of course, which possess a threat of wildlife. And animals are killed or acquired by mines, small arms, fires, and stress of moving heavy techniques. Since war began, scientists estimated that more than 50,000 dolphins died during this war in the Black Sea. So it will have dramatic impact on marine biodiversity, not only for Ukraine. And today, 44% of the areas of all nature reserves and national parks are located in temporarily occupied territories or war zone. And it's practically impossible for state authorities or public organizations to provide environmental protection activities there. And according to the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Natural Resources, up to 900 nature conservation areas currently occupied or hostilities are taking place in their territory. Russian aggression on the territory of Ukraine has already caused significant damage to the environment. Entire ecosystem with rare species of flora and fauna have been destroyed. Huge areas were polluted, and those processes unfortunately still continue. And the main goal of the world community should be to eliminate the risk of global ecological catastrophe, to stop ecocide in Ukraine, and to help restore the ecological security of Ukraine and its environment. And as a recommendation, what possible to do in those conditions, I mean during war, systematically to collect data about the extent and types of pollution of water and terrestrial ecosystems during the war, and to create electronic register of pollutants and pollution, and it will allow more effectively implement methods of technical recultivation and bioremediation of contaminated area in the post-war period. And I hope that this post-war period will be very soon in our country. Otherwise, it will be a huge ecological catastrophe, not only for Ukraine, but also for the whole world. I thank you very much for attention. It's a very hard topic for me, but I think it's very important because world must know what is going really in our country and how it can impact on environment, not only in our country, but generally in global level. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Ludmila. Especially thank you for good and satisfying presentation. Flora explained the bad results of the war and explained 5 trees to biodiversity and importance of ecosystem and environment. Thank you very much. We hope the war finish as soon as possible. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for support, and thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please stop sharing, Ludmila.
Yes, just a moment.
Stop sharing. I would like to invite to Prof. Nuriyeva Sevinç. Nuriyeva Sevinç'i buraya almak istiyorum. Sunumuz var mı hocam? Tamam, o zaman böyle kongrenin şeyini koyalım hocam.
Burada gösterebilir miyiz?
Evet.
From
Azerbaijan, sorry, I forgot it.
İlk növbədə hamını salamlayıram. Azərbaycandan gəlmişəm. Bakı Dövlət Universitetində və eyni zamanda Bakı Qızlar Universitetində öyrətmənəm. Adım Sevinç, soyadım isə Nuriyevadır. Bu kongrenin başkanı başda olmaqla, başkanı hocamız, Sayın hocamız Öznur Gökkaya'ya, eyni zamanda bu kongreni təşkil edən təşkilatçılarımız Mustafa bəy sizlərə, eyni zamanda digər təşkilatçımız Kazım bəy Kahramana öz təşəkkürümü bildirirəm. Və burada iştirak etdiyimə görə ilk kərə sizin universitetin, sizin deməli Körfəz Belediyesi, düzmü dedim? Burada iştirakından məmnunluq duyuram. Bugünkü mövzumuz isə gender bərabərliyi uğrunda gender əsaslı məktəblərdən, okullardan, bizlərdə məktəb deyirlər, sizlərdə okul. Bu okullardan və gender əsaslı dərsliklərdən sizlərə söz açmaq istərdim. Bayaq Sayın hocamız, kongre başkanımız Öznur Gökkaya vurguladı ki, BMT-nin deməli, davamlı inkişaf proqramı var və bu davamlı inkişaf proqramı içərisində 17 əsaslı deməli, məsələlər durur. Bu məsələlərdən biri də gender bərabərliyidir. Gender dedikdə biz insan haqlarından, kişi və erkək və qadınlar arasındakı haqlardan danışırıq. Onların bərabər hüquqa malik olmaları haqqında müxtəlif məsələlərə toxunuruq. Yaşadığımız bu zamanda dinindən, cinsindən, dilindən, milliyyətindən, mədəniyyətindən, irqindən asılı olmayaraq insanların, yer üzündə bütün insanların hər birisinə lazım olan 3 əsas amil var. Bunlardan birini biz en esası olarak sağlığı nəzərdə tuturuq. Sağlıq elə bir şeydir ki, pandemiya vaxtında bizlərə, hər birimizə gərəkli olan bir şeydir, hər dövrdə. Yəni pandemiyada siz gördünüz ki, burada öğrenciler de var, sizləri də salamlayıram eyni zamanda. Deməli, evlərdə olduq, dışarı çıxa bilmədik və biz gördük ki, həqiqətən sağlığın olması nə qədər önəmlidir. Demek ki, yeryüzünde olan bütün insanlara bir nömrəli lazım olan bir faktör sağlamlıqdır. İkinci lazım olan nedir? Biliktir, ağıldır, elmdir. Nizami Gəncəvi, dahi Azərbaycan şairi söyləyir ki, qüvvət elmdədir, başqa cür heç kəsə üstünlük eyləyə bilməz. Və Həzrət Muhammed sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem söyləyir ki, öyrənin, beşikten qəbir evine dek öğrenin. Demek ki elm almak, bilikli olmak, bunlar bize hatta Uca Allah bize buyurmuş ve Kur'an-ı Kerim'in ilk suresi olan İqra suresi, daha doğrusu bu surede bize insanların bilikli olması buyurulur, elm alması buyurulur. Ve ona göre de insanlara lazım olan ikinci vacip olan bir faktör elimdir, bilimdir. Şimdi üçüncü lazım olan bir faktör da odur ki insanlar ləyaqətli yaşamalıdır. Ve bu ləyaqətli yaşamak için de onlara lazım olan, ləyaqətli yollarına lazım olan deməli faktörlar lazım. Yani ünsürlər lazım. Ona göre de daha da bir bizlere lazım olan bir şey odur ki ister erkek olsun, ister kadın olsun, beraber şekilde bütün bunları elde etmeye çalışsın. Ve birbirlerinin haklarını tapdalamadan, birbirlerine hürmet ederek bunlara nail olsunlar. Elbette ki insan cemiyeti, kadın ve erkeklerin cemiyeti olursa da, bazen kadınların erkeklerden aşağı olması, eskiden gelen o bakışlar, stereotipler, fikirler hələ də kalmaktadır. Bu mentalitetten doğan fikirler kalmaktadır. Mesela ister Azerbaycan'da olsun, ister Türkiye'de olsun, ben bu şeylere rast geldim. Benim öğrencilerim de var, Türkiye öğrencilerim. Bizlerde böyle bir deyim var. Kız çocuğu olurken o bir duz yüküdür. Kız yükü, duz yükü. Eşittiniz mi siz öğrenciler? Eşittiniz mi? Kız yükü, duz yükü. Yani o kadar ağır ki kız çocuğun olması, onun ağırlığı duz yükü. Aynen böyle bir deyimler var ki, kızını dövmeyen dizini döyer. Eşittiniz mi? Yani bu masallar neden ileri geldi? Dünyaya çocuk gelirken şərqdə böyle bir istekler var. Mentalitet isteklerinden doğan. Erkek olursa bu daha iyi, kız olursa bu daha, bu İslam'dan önceki fikirler, İslam'dan önceki bakışlar. Ama biz Türk halkı olarak, ister Azerbaycan, ister Kırgız, burada bizim öğretmenlerimiz var, salamlayıram. İster Türk'ün, istenilen bir halkında Türk kişisi kadına değer vermiş. Kız çocuğuna xüsusi değer vermiş. Yani hatta bizim Dede Korkut adlanan eski salnamemiz var. Ortak Türk dastanı olan Kitab Dede Korkut'ta söylenir ki kadına olan saygı o kadar yüksek ki ana hakkı Tanrı hakkı sayılır. Ana hakkını sayırlar ki analar, cennet anaların ayakları altındadır. Hazreti Muhammed sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem Kitab-ı Dede Korkut'ta Dede Korkut'umuz söylemiş ki ana hakkı Tanrı hakkıdır. Yani o kadar yüksek ki ananın hakkı. Ama zamanımıza gelince şimdi öyle durumda bazen öyle şeyler görürük ki kadınlara verilen değerler nispeten aşağıya inmiş. Neden gelmiş bu? Berabersizlikten. Yani kadının işi artmış. Kadının yeri söylerler Amerika Birleşmiş Ştatları'nın atasözünde kadının yeri sizce öğrenciler nerede gösterirler? Bir söyleyin zahmet olmasa. Lütfen. Kadının yeri nerede derler? Mutfakta. Eşittiniz mi? Kadının yeri mutfaktır söylerler. Kadın kişiyle, erkekle eyni zamanda çalışmaz ve onunla eyni beraber hukuka malik olmaz. Neden? Bu onların mentalitesine göre ama dediğim gibi Kitab-ı Dede Korkut'ta ve eynen Türk halklarında kadına olan değer, kadına olan saygı çok yüksek söylenmiş. Ve milli mentalitetin yaranmasına müstesna rola malik olan eski Türklerin kadına münasibeti gender baxımından təhlili onu demeye esas verir ki, kadına müterekki münasibet aile nikah fonunda da özünü gösterir. Şimdi bir şey de vurgulayayım ki hatta klasiklerden Nizami Gencevi dahi Nizami Gencevi söyler, onun diliyle desek aslanın dişisi erkeği olmaz. Yani insan olarak biz doğulduk, dünyaya geldik. İster kişi olsun, ister kadın, erkek olsun, ister kadın olsun, onun hüquqları beraber. Kadın hüquqlarına gender baxımından münasibəti isə özündə əks etdirən müxtəlif xalqların adət-ənənlərinin tarix kontekstindən təhlili onu deməyə əsas verir ki, dünya xalqlarının bəzilərinin qədim adət-ənənlərində qadına qarşı mürtəci münasibət kimi hökm sürmüşdür. Bu Avropada da özünü göstərib, bu müxtəlif digər Slavyan xalqlarında da özünü göstərib, yəni mürtəci baxışlar. Gender baxımından mürtəci adət-ənənlərindən danışarkən bunları biz ümumi şəkildə stereotiplər söyləyirik. Qız uşaqlarının doğulmasının arzu edilməz hadisəyə çevrilməsinin tarixinə nəzər salsaq görərik ki, qədim Türklərdə bunlara rast gəlinməz. Övladlar arasında cinsi fərqlilik, cinsi bərabərsizliyə yer verilməz. Yəni bayaq söylədiyim Kitab-ı Dede Korkut dastanında kızı olanı kızılı çadıra, altın çadıra, kızı olarsa altın çadıra yönlendirerler o babanı. Oğlu olarsa o babanı yönlendirerler ağ çadıra. Yani bu evlat verildi. Kız olanı altın çadıra, oğlan olarsa erkek doğulursa ağ çadıra. Hiç evladı olmayan kara çadıra yönlenirdi. Hiç evladı olmayan. Yani bu o demektir ki evlat arasında bir ayrı seçkilik yok. Hatta Kitab-ı Dede Korkut'un bir boyu var ki beyreyi babası evlendirme ister. Ondan sonra ki sen nasıl bir kadınla evlenmek istersen der ki baba ben öyle bir kadın isterim ki ben dün sabah erken kalkmamış o benden önce kalkmış olsun. Ben atmam inmemiş, o benim atımı çakmış olsun. Yani öyle bir kadın olsun ki o hep benimle beraber bir kadın olsun. Demek ki Türk halkları kadını özellemiş, kadını özüyle beraber hukuka malik olduğunu söylemiş. Beləliklə deyə bilərik ki, genç neslin de gender tərbiyəsində biz aile institutunun yeniden formalaşmasına nəzər salmalıyıq. Və əsas institutlardan biri olarak ailenin temelinde gender yönümlü tərbiyenin formalaşmasına nail olmalıyıq. Gender yönümlü ne deməkdir? Yani ister təhsildə oğlan kızlar, bak şimdi siz öğrenciler, erkekler ve kadınlar olarak bir yerde okuyursunuz. Elim alırsınız. Ama eskiden bunlar yok idi. Ben dünen Azerbaycan'dan gelmiş sayın hocamız Reyhan Hanım'la İstanbul'da olduk ve orada 1884 yılda açılmış oğlan okulunun karşısından geçtim. Ve bir şeye nazar verdim ki, dikkat ettim ki hem sizde hem Avrupa'da bunları gördüm ki evveller okullar yalnız oğlan çocukları içineydi. Şimdi şükürler olsun ki böyle bir dövre geldi çattı ki hem erkekler hem kadınlar bir yerde okuma şansları var. Ve bunu okuyarken ne kızlara ne oğlanlara, erkeklere ayrı seçkilik edilmez. Yani bu ister üniversiteye dahil olarken, ister elim, sanat seçerken, ister istenilen bir konstitusyon hukuki bakımından onlara fark verilmez. Ama diğer taraftan ise mentalitet bakımından bazen yine de farklar var. Bazen yine de derler ki kadınsan senin ne işin var sokaklarda, sen gidebilmezsen şuraya, oraya, buraya söylenir mi sizlere de? Veyahut söylenir ki kadınsan işleyebilmezsin. Otur çocuğunu terbiye et. Otur anne ol, anne ol. Annenin işi, bir numara işi çocuklarına bakmak. Ne senin işlemek şansın yok. Yani bak bu bakışlar yanlış bakışlar, stereotipler. Evet, dünyaya çocuğu getiren annelerdir. Bu bir numara, bu faktör. Yani bu taşınmaz bir faktör. Bu biyoloji cinse ait bir faktördür. Ama anneyle beraber baba da çocuklara ne etmelidir? Hem terbiye vermelidir, hem tahsille yönetme vermelidir. Hem çocuklarını anne ve baba olarak onlar ne etmelidir? Büyütmelidirler. Ona göre de biz bugünkü durumumuzda global bakımdan, yani dünya halklarının inkişafı programı bakımından BMT'nin 5. programının biri de gender beraberliğidir. Çocuklar, erkekler ve kadınlar olarak beraber büyümeli, beraber tahsil almalı, beraber bütün hukuklara malik olmalıdır. Bu kadar. İsterdim sözümü de bir şeyle bitireyim ki biz böyle bir yaşadığımız durumda, muasir durumda, eğer gender beraberliğe nail olarsak cenneti burada kazanmış olur. Yani anneler de babalar da buna çalışsa ki evlatlar beraberlikle büyüksün. O zaman ayrı seçkili olmaz, gender beraberliği olur ve insanlar mutlu yaşar. İnşallah. Sağ olun.
Thank you for a satisfying presentation for Prof. Sevinç. Prof. Sevinç explained the importance of science and human rights and especially human rights researching in science. Thank you again. I would like to invite to Amanbek Müzat Matov, Amanbek hocamızı buraya davet ediyorum.
Hocam. Evet. Amanbek hocamız Kırgızistan'dan geldiler, teşrif ettiler. Kendilerine tekrar teşekkür ediyoruz. Buyurun.
Саламатсыздарбы, урматтуу конференциянын катышуучулары. Докладдын аталышы ошо кыргыздардын саламдашуу этикетинин өзгөчөлүгү тууралуу болот. Кеп этикети ар кайсы улуттук маданияттын маанилүү элементи болуп саналат. Тилде кеп этикетинде саламдашуунун туруктуу формаларында
İngiliz. Buradan okuyabilir misin? Tamam. İngiliz. Okay.
In English. Slide'i devam ettirelim. Şöyle. Sorry. Biz. Bakayım. Okay. Evet. Buradan okuyayım.
Kev etiketi arkaysı ulutluk maddiyatın manileriğinde olsa болады. Dilde kev etiketinde саламдашуунун туруктуу формуларында ар элдин элдик бай тажрыйбасы, каада салттарынын кайталангычтыгы, жашоо образы, тиричилик өткөрүү шарттары катмар болуп катылып жатат. Ошол себептүү алар улуттук маданияттардын өзгөчөлүгүн изилдөөдө баалуу материал болуп саналат. Саламдашуу кең этикетинин ар кайсы улуттук эң маанилүү белгилеринин бири. Анын жардамы менен мамиле түзүп жаткан адамдардын ортосунда байланыш орнойт. Өз ара мамиле аныкталат. Ар бир өлкөдө саламдашуу сөздөрүн колдонушат. Ошондуктан саламдашуу этикети универсалдуу көрүнүш. Бирок ар бир элдин өзүнүн улуттук саламдашуу системасы бар. Анткени кеп этикети, анын ичинде саламдашуу этикети ар бир элдин каада салтына, диний ишенимине, көлмүш адатына байланышкан фразеологизмдерден, идиомалардан жана макалла катталып турган система. Көптөгөн элдерде саламдашуу сөздөрүн тандоо мамиле түзүп жаткан адамдардын жаш турагына, жынысына жана бири-бирине болгон туугандык, жакындык даражасына гана көз каранды болбойт. Саламдашууга мисалы күндүн кайсы учуру, мисалы эртеби же кечпи, айрыкча салам кимге айтылганы жана ошол учурда ал кишинин эмне менен алек болуп жатканы да таасир этет. Атап айтканда, малчы, темир уста, аңчылыкка бараткан же аңчылыктан олжо менен кайткан мергенчи, конок адам же жолоочу, жумуш кылып жаткан адамдар, тамактанып жаткан кишилерге ар башка салам айтылат. Башка айтканда, ар бир учурга ылайык саламдашуу өзгөчө каалоолор бар. Дал ушул каалоолордон улам көпчүлүк саламдашуу формалары пайда болгон. Ошондуктан алар эң башынан тартып эле абдан ар түрдүү болушу керек эле. Саламдашуунун улуттук спецификасын казактын көрүнүктүү илимпоздуу Чокон Валиханов учурунда туура баамдап, кыргыздар тууралуу жазмаларында бул маселеге атайын токтолуп, народные приветствия, сколько мы заметили, чрезвычайно как характеризуют нацию. Персияне, которые славятся во всей Азии веселостью, нравом и остроумием, предлагает фигуральный вопрос. В каком состоянии ваш благовонный мир? В Китае, где люди едят для того, чтобы жить, и живут для того, что есть, существует оригинальный привет. Черефан имею, черефан мею. Буквально поели вы, говорит узкоглазый сын Поднебесной империи. Встречаться с вами во всякое время дня и ночи. То есть, сыт ли ваш желудок? Не имея на оригинале приветствие киргиза. Здоров ли твой скот и семейство? Деп учурда белгилеген. Жөн гана жазып койбостон, кыргыздардын мисал болгон саламдашуусунун пайда болуу себебин да түшүндүргөн. Сөзүбүздүн башында элдин жашоо образы, тиричилик өткөрүү шарттарындагы кеп этикетине олуттуу таасир кыла турганын белгилеп өткөнбүз. Валиханов да кыргыздардын мал жанаманбы деген саламын элибиздин жашоо, тиричилик өткөрүү шарты менен байланыштырып барган. Ал бул тууралуу очень понятно, что скот, как источник благополучия и счастья киргиза, гораздо более значит для него, чем семейство. Жена в скоте, дети в тебе, говорит киргизская пословица. За скот можно купить жену, иметь детей. Мы нисколько не удивляемся понятию киргизов в этом отношении. Оно в порядке вещей. Если взять в соображение, повседневная остановка его жизни деп түшүндүрмө берген. Кыргыздарда деле бардык элдерге мүнөздүү саламдашуу сөздөрүнөн тышкары адамдын аткарып жаткан практикалык иш аракеттин түрдүү учурга жараша айтылган саламдашуулардын ар башка түрлөрү бар. Маселен, көчүп бара жаткан кишиге, эгин ороп аткан адамга, тырман бастырган дыйканга, mal soyup жатканга, уулун үйлөп жатканга, той берип жаткан кишиге, кой кырккан кишиге, күлүк аттаптаган сайапкерге, базарга мал айдап бараткан кишиге, сагынч аялга жана ушул сыяктуу жолукканда календардык байрамдарда саламдаштын өзгөчө түрлөрү айтылат. Негизинен саламдашуунун жана кездешки учурларда карагандай эле амандашуунун спецификасы ар бир элде кысыктуу болуп саналат. Фармановскаянын маалыматына таянсак, орус элинде саламатсызбы деген сөздөрдүн ордуна айтылган болжол түрдө 40, балким андан да көп сөз бар. Кыргыз эли этикети деле ар кандай ситуацияларга ылайыкташкан саламдашуудан кийин же саламдашуунун ордуна айтылган саламдашуу формулары көп кезигет. Алардын айрымдарына ана токтоло кетели. Маселен, көч үстүнө жолукканда көч байсалдуу болсун дейт. Эгин ороткан адамды көрсө, орок мокосун дейт. Мындан сырткары, эгин ороткан адам карай, орун көбөйсүн деп да айтылат. Кийинкиси Мустафа Бек. 11-ci.
Tekrar.
Кырман бастырып жаткан дыйканды көрсө, кызылга береке дейт. Келин алган адамга келин кут болсун дейт. Үйлөнгөн жигитти көрсө, куш болбек болсун деген сөздөр айтылат. Соғым союп аткан адамды көрсө, соғым чүйгүн болсун деп айтылат, тилек айтылат. Той берип аткан адамга жолукканда, той мараке болсун деген каалоо айтылып жүрөт. Кой кыркып жаткан адамга жолукканда, кыркар көбөйсүн деген тилек айтылат. Төлдө аткан малдын үстүнөн чыкса, төлгө береке дейт. Күлүк чапкан сайапкерди көрсө, ат байгил болсун дейт. Базарга мал айдаткан адамды көрсө, мал базары болсун дейт. Сүт саап жаткан адам карай, саам көбөйсүн деген сөздөр дагы колдонулган. Айтышы боюнча ар түрдүү болгону менен ушул саламдашуулардын бардыгы тең бөлөк адамга сый мамиле жасоонун, ага болгон жылуу мамиленин, адамгерчилик менен мамиле кылуунун белгиси, айкын көрүнүшү болуп саналат. Жалпылап айтканда, кыргыздардын көөнө символдорго, диний ишенимдерге, каада салттарына, улуттук менталитетине негизделип жаралган саламдашуу этикети улуттук өзгөчөлүккө ээ болуу менен бирге жалпы адамзаттык баалуулуктарды камтып турат деп ишеничтүү айтууга болот. Анын репертуары абдан кенен жана аны башка улуттардын саламдашуу этикети менен салыштырып, кеңири изилдөө өтө маанилүү. Анткени ал бөлөк маданияттарды терең билгенге жол ашат. Көңүл бурганыңыз үчүн чоң рахмат. Билгениңиz için çok teşekkür ederim.
Teşekkür ediyoruz. Kırgız kültürü bizden olan bir kültür olan Kırgız kültürü hakkında bize bilgiler verdi. Aman Bey, teacher Aman Bey explained about from culture of Kyrgyzstan. Thank you again. I would like to invite to Reyhan, Prof. Reyhan Dadachi from Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Bunu nasıl böyle? Böyle. Tamam. Şöyle yapabiliriz. Tamam, böyle de devam ederiz. Şimdi tamam.
Herkese selamlıyorum. Hoş geldiniz.
Mikrofonu.
Tamam. Her yıl olduğu kimi bu ildə bir arada olmaq, sizinlə görüşmək çox xoşdur. Bildiğiniz kimi bugün Ukrayna ve Rusya arasında savaş gedir. Ama biz bu savaşı 2020'de yaşadık ve bu savaş Azerbaycan ve Ermənistan arasında bir savaş oldu. Ve biz bu kanlı savaşta şanlı bir zafer kazandık. Ben bu haqda danışmaq istəyirəm. Çünkü Azerbaycan bu 44 gün içinde böyük bir mücadilə elədi və bu mücadilədə Türkiyə Azərbaycanı dəstəklədi. Türkiyə Azərbaycanın yanında sonuna qədər oldu və biz bu dəstəyi sonuna qədər hiss etdik. Bəşər tarixində ümumilikdə çox böyük dəhşətli savaşlar olmuşdur. 100 illiklər, 30 illiklər müharibələr haqqında da oxumuşuq. Lakin tarixin özündə də qəribə paradoksal müharibələrdə çox maraq doğuran İngilislərin Afrikadakı müharibəsi cəmi 38 dəqiqə olmasıdır. Səhv etməmsə İngiltərə və Fransa arasında da 44 günlük bir müharibə olmuşdur. Yalnız tarixi bəlkə də heyrətə gətirən bir müharibə də bizim ordumuzun zəfərlə, şərəflə başa çatdırdığı 44 günlük bir müharibə. Bu şanlı qələbənin müdrik, cəsarətli və ədalətli ilham verici bizim cəsarətli, ləyaqətli vətən oğulları, ölkə başçımız, rəşadətli prezidentimiz başda olmaqla ordu başçımızın igid vətən oğullarının da ruhunu cuşa gətirdi. Oğullarımıza, qollarına qüvvət verdi. Bu qələbədə xalqımızın böyük dostu olan Türk xalqının oğlu cənab Rəcəb Ərdoğanın da ilham verici rolunu unutmaq olmaz. Bizim qələbəmizin təkan verici qüvvələrindən biri də vətən eşqi və düşmənə qarşı dərin nifrət hissi müstəsna rol oynadı. Cumhurbaşqanlarımız və igid oğlanlarımız gənc yaşlarına baxmayaraq dərk etdilər ki, ana torpaqdan, doğma yurtdan ötə heç bir şey yox. Bizim mübarizlərimiz, Polad Həşimovların yolu, şərəfli yolunu onlar da şərəfləndirdilər və xalqımızın layiqli qisasını aldılar. Qəhrəman oğullarımız ölümün gözünə baxmağı bacardılar. Onlar sonuna qədər bu qələbə üçün mübarizə apardılar. Düşmənlərimizin isə bir millət kimi nə öz adəti, nə dili, nə ənənəsi yoxdur. Onlar tarixi olmayan bir xalqdır. Amma bu vuruşda bizim qələbə çalacağımız kəsin idi. 30 ildən sonra belə olsa, bu müharibədə biz haqlı tərəf olaraq qələbə çalacağımızı bilirdik. Bu şərəfli qələbədə bizim prezidentimiz İlham Əliyevin müstəsna rolu tarixə gözəl bir nümunə kimi düşəcək. Bütün dünyada savaşlara biz yox deyirik və bugün də dünyada gedən savaşlar nə qədər insanların həyatını, nə qədər uşaqların, nə qədər qocaların ölümünə səbəb olur. Biz bunu yaşadıq, biz bunu gördük və bunun acısını bir daha hiss etdik. Amma çox şükür ki 34 günlük qələbədə biz sonunda qələbə çaldıq. Bizim qabiliyyətimizin bir səbəbi də odur ki, bizim xalqımızın oğul və qızlarının torpağa, yurda, vətənə dərin bağlılığı və məhəbbəti var. Onlar ana torpağı müqəddəs bir ziyarətkar kimi görürlər. Şəhid qəhrəmanlarımızın anaları nə qədər dərdli olsalar da oğullarının qəhrəmanlığını şərəflə xatırlayır və qəm dolusu fəxarətlə anacaqlar. Bizim şairimiz var, xalq şairimiz Musa Yaqub. Belə bir, onun bir şeirindən bir parça deyəcəm. Bəlkə də borcundan çıxmadım vətən, ömür bahar deyil bir də qayıtsın. Ölüm qucağında torpaq olum mən, bari bircə ovuc torpağın artsın. Bu Azərbaycan igidlərinin hamısını 3000 şəhid verdi və bu 3000 şəhidin hərəsi bir ovuc torpaq olaraq Azərbaycanda dərin iz buraxdılar və mən çox sevinirəm ki bugün İzmitdə Polad Həşimov adına bir park var və hər kəs bizim qəhrəman oğlumuzu tanıyır və bir misra da məşhur Türk şairi Mithat Kemal Kuntay'ın bir bəndin deyəcəm. Deyir, bayraqları bayraq edən üstündəki qandır. Torpaq əgər uğrunda ölən varsa vətəndir. Qarabağ uğrunda vuruşan vətəndaşlarımızın hamısı yekdildir və biz bu torpaq uğrunda qələbədə qalib gələcəyimizi əmin edik. Çox sağ olun, təşəkkür edirəm.
Beyan Hocam'a değerli ve ince konuşması için teşekkür ediyoruz. Thank you for very good presentations from Beyhan Prof. Reyhan Dadaş. Prof. Reyhan Dadaş explained about the war of Azerbaijan and Armenia, and about explaining about Azerbaijan's history. Thank you again. I would like to invite dear Prof. Volta. Within.
Here is, yes,
Yes.
this. Please.
Hello, everyone. This is Oksana Cipi from Albania. Today I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship in Albania. And before starting this presentation, I want to give many thanks to Imascon Association, which invited us to this conference. And it was very nice for me to meet everyone from you. Today I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship in Albania, but before talking about entrepreneurship challenges, I'm going to talk a little bit about Albania. Albania is a country much better. So Albania is a country which has an area nearly 28.748 kilometers square and a population of nearly 28,000. It declared independence in 1912 and our national language is Albanian. Our currency is Albanian lek, but if you want to come to Albania and to buy things in euros or dollars, you can buy them. For 50 years, we were under communism, so our leader Enver Hoxha and our government controlled every field of life, starting from education, economy, production, employment, and all the companies were state-owned. During our communism, there were no companies that were owned from other entities except our government. Everything was controlled and we were in a total communism. After the fall of communism, there are some photos of our country. During the communism, we had a very good infrastructure in agriculture, forestry, fishing, cloth production, technological production, and machinery production. Everything was done inside our country, and we were not buying other things from other states. So we had the idea that everything was developed from our work in our economy. In such conditions, when the political changes were faced in all the world. Also, Albania had the fall of communism in the 90s. So we had the introduction of a different life, which was focused now in entrepreneurship, in businesses. And we started to have a different social life, which made the fall of communism. We had lots of people that emigrated, and from their emigration they brought in our economical culture different way of thinking. In the first years, we had lots of unemployment and we had the need to restart. In the moment that our economy was in the need to restart, we have the starting of the new businesses, the private businesses, and we have the change in our economic ecosystem. So we start to have our first private companies, family enterprises, and normally for foreign direct investments. As you have noticed, in every country, we have a different definition of entrepreneurship. And in our country, entrepreneurship is defined by law as companies that have fewer than 250 employees and have an annual turnover that does not exceed 250 million Albanian lek. Small enterprises are those that in general in our country employ less than 50 people and they do not exceed 50 million Albanian lek as income. And then we have the micro enterprises, which are entities which employ less than 10 persons and have an annual turnover that does not exceed 10 million Albanian lek. And in general, these micro enterprises are family-owned enterprises. The development of entrepreneurship changed a lot during the years, but it had a very big change in 2006, just because our government decided to have a law on entrepreneurship and decided to invest in small, medium enterprises. So we have lots of investments in businesses like bakeries, restaurants, tourism, warehouses, and in the meantime, subcontract industries in footwear wear and textiles. Taking in consideration the fact that the European Union has lots of focus in entrepreneurship, also our states and our government started to focus in entrepreneurship. And we have now education which is focused in entrepreneurship, starting with bachelor studies, master studies, and our government pushes people to have their own enterprises as long as they're considered to bring more income into our economy. And as we know from the statistics, everywhere in the world, nearly 58% of employment is done from small, medium enterprises. And the private enterprises contribute in the increase of the income of every state or every government. Our country entrepreneurship action plan for 2020 and forth is focused on youth entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship education, creation of supporting structures as incubators and entrepreneurship labs, and also to motivate the creation and development of entrepreneurial ideas and enhance of strengthening of entrepreneurial ecosystem. Now I will show some data regarding the products and services that are offered in our country. And we see that we have more companies that offer services than companies that produce things inside our country. The most considerable production is in the field of agriculture. And in the meantime, our economy is focused more in the trade. What happened in the last decades? The last decades, we have a focus in entrepreneurship, and this focus in entrepreneurship has started with children in the school. We have started to teach children from the youngest age to be entrepreneur. Before I saw a presentation from our colleagues from Portugal, they had a very good idea. But if you don't find the proper way to create an enterprise on your idea, then this idea cannot be solved. Then you have just to give it to someone else to develop it, and the person that had the idea cannot develop it. This is what we are doing in our country nowadays. We are trying to teach young children, starting from the age of 5, the basic concept of enterprise and entrepreneurship. We are teaching them to focus in developing their own ideas and to get their basic concept of enterprise and entrepreneurship and to push them toward selling this idea. For this, we have created a project in which our university is part, and it's called Entral, and it's about creating entrepreneurial intention in young children, and not only students that are at the university level, but also people that are little in their age. In the meantime, the project is focused to teaching professors to make their students to be entrepreneurial, which means that we have to teach young children that they have to start things from nothing and to bring them to the end. We see nowadays that we have children that if we ask them something, their creativity is only based on internet and what they find. If you ask something to someone, or if you say something wrong, you will notice that everyone goes to the mobile phone and checks on internet in order to correct you. Actually, we are losing contact, we are losing our development of the children. So this is why we are trying to make them more realistic, which means that if they really have an idea, we try to make them create this idea and to bring this idea into market, to share it with people, not only through internet, but to share it with people through discussion, through communication, through presentation, and so on. So this is what it is about, this study. And after the analysis that we did, we found out that today we have to teach young people to take risks, to organize their ideas, to take new initiatives, to make good management, to put and to bring out their skills, to have initiative, to create values, to be leaders, and to have the ability to take actions, to discover, implement opportunities, and in the meantime, to make them, to show the ability to create, construct a vision from the scratch. And then we help them to plan and to be responsible for their action. Actually, when we see so many things in one slide, seems like this is impossible to be taught. But in fact, every day, not only with the lectures, but also with the way that we behave with people that we have around, we teach them to be entrepreneurs, not only in the field of business, but also in their everyday life. So everyone has to start things and to finish them by their own. So from what we found out and what we searched in our paper, it came out that nearly 75% of people starting from the young age, they want to see themselves as entrepreneur. We ask them to what they want to be in the future, and they all want to be people that are involved in the business and that want to make lots of money. But unfortunately, they do not yet know how they will make this money. And in the meantime, we asked them how many of them would be able to take advice in the field of leadership, and there were a certain amount of people that accepted they do not have the knowledge, but they will learn in the future how to be entrepreneurs. But in the meantime, there is also a group of people that think that they are business people, they are involved in the field of entrepreneurship without the need of studies, because they can use the ability of the others in order to make their ideas to come to be true. And in the meantime, here we can accept the fact that we are in the world of management. And the best way of doing management is to use the ability of the others in order to enter in the market and to be successful. Well, these are the data that came out from the analysis, but I don't want to tire you with them. If you have interest, I will bring the data by email, or we can discuss it after the presentation. We had lots of wonderful results in this study, which I also mentioned during my presentation. But in the meantime, it came out that the most difficult part in making and creating entrepreneurship minds or entrepreneurship behavior is the problem with the teachers and with professors, because we are at a certain point that we think that we don't need any more to learn. So being in such conditions, when someone comes to us and asks us to be more entrepreneurial or to add new things in our way of lecturing or in our class behavior or in our class management, it comes out that a certain amount of people find it very difficult to accept the new methods, while young people, they are totally, in general, they are totally involved in changing their behavior toward making new things and better things for themselves. This was my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks to give Prof. Olta for valuable and satisfying information. Give Olta tells us important of entrepreneurship and important of especially entrepreneurships of students. Thank you again. I'd like to invite to give Prof. Victor.
Because
Sí.
I was going to present.
So here is yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon to you all. My name is Vitor. I came from Portugal. I'm a researcher and teacher at the Coimbra University, which is the city of students. So mainly for the students, welcome back. Well, I'll try to my presentation to, I'm mechanical engineering also, and I'll try with my presentation to make a relation between the topic of your Congress, which is Society 5.0, digital of digital life, and with my latest research team, which considers the biomechanical analysis of advanced surgical technique to eliminate shoulder instability regarding, in this case, healthcare digital transformation, which is related to the Society 5.0. I'm related to the biomechanic field. I previously studied hip. Now I'm studying the shoulder, which is much more challenging joint, which is much unstable. So it's a big challenge. Well, to start my presentation, I will make a brief human history about the society stages, which we will achieve 5.0. Let me just, okay, the shoulder anatomy, so you to understand what I'm talking about, and some closing remarks. About the human history society stages, of course, we started by Society 1.0, where it was named Hunting Society. Then we go further to the Agrarian Society to develop some irrigation techniques. Then by the end of the 18th century, we came to the Industrial Revolution. Then we are just finishing Society 4.0, and we are achieving the Society 5.0, which has some different and important goals. And we call it super smart society. And why is that? Because the society will be centered in the human-centered society, which is the main goal. People can enjoy high quality of life. That's the main purpose, of course, and fully active and in a comfortable way. So by that, we turn in detail to the various people's needs. Instead of being focused on society by itself, as a group, we will focus on the human being, on a human-centric society. As I was talking about, now related to my theme, healthcare theme, Society 4.0 decided treatment strategies to see people, the society as a whole. They had medium standardized parameters, and they developed treatment strategies like hip prostheses, like femur prostheses, as a medium value to apply on those patients. But now, with the achieving of digitalization of an individual person, getting this personal data, the geometry, biometric data, and combined with the advance of biotechnology and all other technologies, we can go through and shift to Society 5.0 and then dedicate it to the individual and treat the person as an individual with his own biomedical data. That's my research team at the moment. So society will be human-centered, or is already human-centered society. And we believe that healthcare is one of the domains that will benefit most through these cutting-edge technologies. Okay, now related to my research team, I treat about the shoulder joint. As you know, is an upper limb of the human body. It has three main bones: humerus, the scapula, and the clavicula. But it has a complex number of tendons and bursae, and even a much more complex group of muscles. But as a mechanical engineer, we try to simplify structures, and we see any joint of the human body as a structure, but we try to simplify it. So by that, I study mainly the rotator cuff structure, which has only 4 muscles: supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, and teres minor. And these are the 4 most important muscles of the shoulder joint, and that can have much more lesions. So to simplify, as you can memorize how you can stabilize the tumor joint is about 4 fingers trying to grab a bone and try to stabilize it. It's almost impossible. So there's a lot of lesions, a lot of damage in the shoulder. So one of the most important lesions of the shoulder is a rotator cuff tear. One of the muscles collapses, and the main symptoms are instability and pain. This is the image of a rotator cuff tear. Typically, that happens due to sports, to trauma, to illness. A lot of regions. It can happen to the rotator cuff tear, and mainly the orthopedic surgeons make the classical approach, which is to restore the anatomical configuration of the shoulder. So by that, they try to fix the tendon to the bone and replace it as an anatomical original joint. But this may not be strong enough to improve after this intervention. Some papers, some studies talk about this. It's frequently difficult to achieve reliable long-term healing with this classic technique. Complete healing of massive tears is not always achievable. We can find it in literature, and mainly no clinical studies have been reported on healing following this repair. So we have to go further and go to another surgical technique. And with this came out recently the tendon transfer technique. And you use mainly 3 different muscles: trapezius, pectoralis major, and latissimus dorsi. When we go to this kind of surgery, mainly is because supraspinatus or subscapularis are affected. So we transfer the pectoralis major to a new place, as you can see in the image on the left and on the right. Then we try to use tendon transfer using latissimus dorsi if supraspinatus, another muscle, and infraspinatus are affected. But in the third technique, trapezius transfer, will happen if supraspinatus and infraspinatus are affected. So once again, we have another surgery, another technique that depends on a surgeon, on his ability to proceed from pectoralis major transfer or latissimus dorsi transfer, his decision. But he doesn't know exactly where to put the tendon when he tries to transfer it. And mechanical engineering are always confused because when the doctor does not know what to put exactly the tendon and does not realize what will be the mechanical behavior of the joint after the tendon transfer. So we always think about this, why they not choose always the perfect spot, mainly because they don't know how to do it. Then we have another technique, which is a total shoulder replace joint. Mainly, we change the configuration of the joint, even with anatomical prosthesis, a reverse prosthesis, whatever. But by the end, we don't have the original joint, and we don't know which one is most suitable for this lesion. We don't know the total cost. We know it's very high. Then sometimes don't predict the prosthesis revision or even failure. It happens. And as I told you before, we have a dramatic anatomical change. So, and even in young patients, the prosthesis has to be changed in the future. So we don't think it's a consensus technique. And so by the end, wherever they use the classic approach, which is not tailored treatment, which means it's not for society 5.0, it's not made for me, for example, or even if they make the tendon transfer, which also is not also dedicated for my case, or even if they make the shoulder replacements, there's no common consensus about which surgical technique we should make to solve the patient problem. That's why I try to make a new approach regarding this Society 5.0, and with the CT scan from the patient, which means I'm going to study the patient's geometry, the shoulder geometry dedicated to him. I can make his shoulder geometry dedicated to him, and by that I can operate them, suggest an operation dedicated to that patient specifically. Or even if we have now at the moment, we have some flexible rigid elements, instead of use prosthesis, we use some kind of rubber to substitute the prosthesis. But we can do that because biotechnology is now taking big steps forward. Another mixed technology that I'm going to use is the in vitro experimental simulator. And why I do that? Because I will try to show the surgeon the biomechanical behavior after the surgery. Then he can predict and he can tell the patient that after this technique, the shoulder will have this kind of movement. And by that, with the latest technology, I'm going to use also multi-body mechanical model to show also the mechanical behavior in this case of a simulation case. And I can also use CAD model with finite element analysis to show the doctor that that shoulder will be more stressful or less stressful depending on the technique. And I believe that combining all these 5 techniques, CT scan, patient dedicated, stress analysis, multi-body analysis, in vitro analysis, and using new elements like rigid or flexible elements, we can plan and predict the surgery, and by that, the surgeon can be much more effective on his final approach. And as you can see for Society 5.0, it will be tailor-made, which means it will be dedicated only to that patient. Some closing remarks. We believe Society 5.0 will be human-centered society. Healthcare will be, of course, will benefit through application of these cutting-edge technologies. And we believe that industry, academy, government, and general public, we have to speak together so we can improve to the next stage of society. Thank you very much. Teşekkürler.
Thanks to dear Prof. Vitor for valuable information. Dear Vitor explained and told us about the Society 5.0 and about the importance of Society 5.0. Society 5.0 is a human-centered society. Thank you again. Thanks again. Okay, I would like to hear Prof. Isma from Malaysia.
Please. Sure. Yes. Forget. Yes. Okay, go on, please.
Thank you everyone for still being here with me because I'm the last speaker, I guess. Don't leave me alone. Okay, so today I would like to share with you pre and post COVID-19, the mobility impact towards intercultural experience amongst the Southeast Asia students mobility, in which in this case would refer to my university. So before we go further, I will introduce you about myself. So I'm from Language and Communication Department from the Center for Foundation and Continuing Education. My research field is in human communication, focusing on intercultural communication, interpersonal communication, and environmental communication. And the current position, I'm a Deputy Director of International Center, University Malaysia, Terengganu. So where is this university? This is the map of Malaysia. If you Google and you zoom in, we are at the southeast of Asia. So there is the Terengganu. Yeah, over here. Okay, we have about district 9 or 7 district. Okay, so the university is at that state of Terengganu. Yes, the state of Terengganu. So as you can see, this our university is very small. And at the back there, this is the South China Sea. Okay, just nearby the beach. Right, go to the topic now. So I would like to share with you about the virtual mobility that our university taking and a step to make it into virtual in order to sustain the mobility program, because during COVID we cannot travel, cannot simply send students, and of course parents will reluctant to let their children cross the border during COVID. So there comes the idea of virtual mobility. So this virtual mobility program is in collaboration with AIMS. Okay, AIMS the full name for AIMS is Asian International Mobility for Student Program. Right. So this is an association which include 9 members from ASEAN countries plus ASEAN plus 1, in which the Korea also join in and the Japan also join in. So it's about 80 universities members in this AIMS program, which involve 10 niche area. So every universities have their own niche area. And for University Malaysia Terengganu, in our case, this is the one that in bold is our niche area: hospitality and tourism, environmental management and science, biodiversity, and marine science. So this is actually our university niche area, because we are very near to the beach. And to send students, we need to make sure that partner university also have the same niche area. So in that case, this is the members of the AIMS that we send our student, and also the Korea and Japan join in later. And for University Malaysia Terengganu, we joined in this association in 2016. So at the university level, we have coordinators and the secretariats. This is the secretariat for the University Malaysia Terengganu, in which we represent the universities in any meetings at the state level, at the national level and international level. And this is all the faculties coordinators. Then we represent the universities whenever possible to talk about with other coordinators from partner universities, because they are the one that know most about the program. All right, so today's presentation is actually to share with you the students' perception and challenges towards the virtual mobility program that our university develop and send the student abroad through the virtual mobility. So we use a qualitative study and e-interview through the Google form. We send it to the student, and they wrote down their experience and everything based on the question, which relate to the intercultural communication. And also we use Leximancer and apps just to theme out the result. Okay. So on 2019, our university start sending our student to Dongguk University of Korea at Jeongju campus. We sent on the first phase on 2nd of March 2021, and the second phase on the 30th August on the spring season 2021 as well. This is all virtually. So they will have semester exchange. They attend it online for 3 months, means per semester. So the niche area for these students, they are from the hospitality and tourism niche area, and they are taking Bachelor of Tourism Management. So from the result, I know it is very small. Don't worry, I'll make it simple. So it comes out about they talk about their intercultural experience. They learn a lot about the culture and the communication strategies among their friends. They get to know about the situation and the condition during the virtual program, and they learn about how other countries planning and tackle the pandemic, the stress, and also they learn to interact with the different background and culture during this virtual program, and they bond with the classmates and also the professors. So as you can see here, I divided into two, the advantages and disadvantages of this virtual mobility. It is flexible timing, they're able to meet because regardless, and no money involved. So, and then all the lectures are being recorded, so they can just replay again and again. It's convenient for them. They learn new study system because different country have different style of study, and they also learn history and cultures of Korea, and they're very they are grateful that they do not need to travel to that particular country. But the disadvantages is they do not able to connect physically with their classmate. This is the most the most comments that we get from the student. And the program also sometimes clash with their actual university classes, and also the duration of time of the class sometimes a bit longer, and also they sometimes have a passive group members which is do not active during the discussions. And so it is the advantages of doing the online virtual mobility. And this is the pictures of the program on the virtual mobility, and also a comment from them. I get to make friends from different country. It is an eye-opening experience as I get to communicate, and also down here, the best thing I can get new Korean friends there, and the lecturers are so sporting and kind. I'm so happy to know them. This is all their expression. So I can say that, sorry, not yet. Okay, the friend is very important, the classmates. It's very important during this process of virtual mobility, where this is where the intercultural experience is actually integrate during the virtual mobility. And it is good if they can interact, especially I got from the comment, especially during the discussion and group discussion. And we also, after this program, this Korean university trying to also make a physical program, which is to sustain or make sure the sustainability of the program. Those who join online during that spring or fall season, they've been invited this year for physical program 2 weeks just to experience the culture. All right, so as a conclusion, I would say it is time to globalize mobility program through the virtual mobility, and it is good to have these buddies. In our university, we have these buddies to interact and also to help the student, the international student, to get along and adapt to the Malaysian culture or university culture. That's all. Terima kasih. Thank you. Obrigado. Terima kasih.
Thanks to Prof. Isma from Malaysia. New Prof. Isma told us about UMT University and virtual mobility and important of globalized mobility. Thanks again. I'd like to invite from Kyrgyzstan.
Kırgızistan.
Yes. Evet, Kuvayi Bek. Bu. Şu.
Hı hı, hı hı. Hı hı.
Buyurun.
Kırgızistan'dan Profesör Kubani Bek hocamız sunumunu yapıyor.
Rahmat, teşekkür. Kırgızistan, Profesör Kıvançbek İsakov. Bugün adamzat qo'mi, adamzatın daromadi jetmagan, kuchi jetmagan problemalar qavlab o'tiradi. Bu globaldi problemalar deb ataladi. Albatta bu globaldi problemalardan negizgi sebebi emnede degan surov jaraladi. Globaldi problemalardan adam daromadi jetmagan problemalardan negizgi sebepchisi bizning ilmiy bayondamada ko'rsatilgan bu adam iman degradatsiyasi, mıravалық жақтан адамның buzuluшу бұл негізгі себеп қатары біз ilmiy баяндамада көрсеткенбіз. Бүгінгі қоғамдық тұрмыш дүйнө елдерін өте кескин түрдө өйдө төмен бушайманга салып отурат. Бұл болса адамзат планетасында COVID-19 сыяктуу аталыштагы өзү көрүнбөгөн ажыдар сымал апат бүтүндөй адамзатты ойго салып отурат. Бұл болса бүгінгі күндегі глобалды проблемалардың ең орчундусу деп эсептелинет. Бары жоқтың ээси адам, жаратуучудағы, кыйратуучудағы адам деген концептуалдык марксизмдик жолу бүгүн четке кагылып отурат. Анткени адамдын алы жетпеген маселелер али толтур экен коомдо. Мен өзүмдүн илимий баяндамамды бир тарыхый мисал менен баштагым келип отурат. Антикалык мезгилде байыркы Рим дүйнөлүк цивилизациясы маданияттын чордону болуп, байыркы грек маданияты менен эри шаркак жашап, башка элдерге да өз таасирин тийгизип келгендиги бул тарыхый факт. Мындай улуу адамзаттык маданияттын кайталангыс айтып бүткүс тарых экендиги жакшы билебиз. Ошол кездеги Рим империясынын территориясы жер ортолук деңизинен тартып Европа, Батыш Европа толугу менен Азия, Африка континенттерин жана Улуу Британиянын бир бөлүгү басып тургандыгы бул тарыхый факт. Мына ушундай күч кубаттуу өнүккөн маданияттын ээ болгон улуу империя 395-жылы император Феодосий биринчинин тушунда кыйроого дуушар болот. Изилдөөчүлөр мындай улуу дөөлөттөрдүн кыйроо себептерин ар кандай жоромолдошуп келген. Бирок айрым бир тарыхый илимий фактыларга таянсак, анын кыйрап жок болуусунун эң негизги себеби ошол Рим империясындагы элдердин, айрыкча эл башкарган төбөлдөрдүн моралдык, мыравалык жактан кескин түрдө бузулгандыгы, чектен чыгып кеткендигин айгинешүүдө. Сөзү сумсак болбош үчүн мына буларды далил катары айтууну эп көрүп отурам. Разумеется, при таком размере империи во многих местах процветала коррупция. Особенно Рим был заражен ее большинство влиятельных чиновников. Многие граждане империи предпочитали проводить целые дни в преданных занятиях, застольях, развратных оргиях с чрезмерным потреблением вина. Орус окумуштуусу Миронов Древний Рим аттуу китебинен «Крах и падение Римской империи» деген бөлүгүндө таамай белгилеген. Эми кептин ток этер жерине өтсөк, адам баласына баары жок жетиштүү болуп турган чакта эч нерсеге канааттанбай, инсандык чектен чыгып кеткендиги, ыплас көрүнүштөргө барып, өздөрүнө чоң мүшкүлдү жаратары жогоруда биз келтирген мисалдын өзү муну ыспаттап жатпайбы? Ошондуктан немец философу Артур Шопенгауэр өзүнүн «Мир как воля и представление» деген эмгегинде потребность человека безограничена. Когда ему все достаточно, он выходит из струн воли деп таамай белгилеген. Барчылык, ашыкча байлык, обу жок ашкере бийлик адамды инсандык сапаттан алтып, айван сымал абалга алып келери акыл эстүү адамга белгилүү. Ошондуктан улуу жазуучубуз Чыңгыз Айтматов да акыреттин соту, анын догматтарсыз эле адамзаттын тарыхында эбактан бери болуп келет. Мындай жагдайлар кырдаалды адам өзү жаратат. Адамгерчилик жадырап гүл ачкан чыныгы жаркын тарых жер жүзүндө али баштала элек. Адамды апат кылчу кыямат кайым Кудайдан эмес, бөөдө кырсыктардан эмес, адамдардын өздөрүнүн жаралышы касташуусунан болот деп таамай белгилеген. Ошон үчүн эртең Кудай кандай жакшы же жаман, ырайымдуу же ырайымсыз болобу, ал кишилердин өзүнөн, ал анткени адам өз өмүрүнүн ар бир күнүнө өзү ээ, өзү сот деп кыямат романында баса белгилеп, амаралдуулуктун терең философиялык көркөм жалпылоосунун маани магызын ушундай салыштырат. Жалпы адамзатка тиешелүү болгон интеллектуалдык эстетикалык салуу салтка жана гуманисттик руханий маданий наркка таянуу аркылуу Чыңгыз Айтматов дагы сфинкс сыяктуу өзүнө өзү ошондой эле жер жүзүнө жашаган пенделердин баарынан адам баласы канткенде адам болот, канткенде пейил оңолот деген түбөлүктүү суроону кайра кашайып коет. Улуу көрөгөт жазуучу чыгармаларында адам, жаратылыштын органикалык биримдиги ар бир чыгармасында баяндалып, мына ушундан улам адам баласынын бири-бирине болгон кыянатчылыгы күчөп, адамдык сапатын жоготкондо жана айлана чөйрөгө калпсыз мамиле жасаган мезгилде адам баласы жырткычка айланат. Ушул дүйнөлүк катастрофа мына ушунун өзү кыямат деп белгилейт. Демек, улуу ойчул белгиленгендей диалектикалык биримдик да түбөлүк эмес экен. Орус окумуштуусу Родионова источник глобальных проблем — это демографические проблемы деп таамай белгилейт. Ошондуктан ар кандай глобалдуу проблемалардын негизин бул адам өзү түзөт экен. Эми сөзүнүн соңунда Рим клубунун мурдагы президенти, италиялык окумуштуу жана коомдук ишмер Аврелий Печей өз убагында мындай деп белгилеген: дүйнөдө эч качан мынчалык башаламандык өкүм сүргөн эмес жана эч качан адамды азыркыдай албан масштабтуу аламат коркунучтар болгон эмес. Буга дейре адам баласынын жан дүйнөсү мынчалык дүрбөлөңгө түшкөн эмес. Булардын баарысына адам баласынын жан дүйнөсү деградацияланышы себеп болуп жатат деп баса белгилейт. Ошондуктан адам баласы пейилин оңобосо планетардык апокалипсистен эч качан арылбайбыз деген маселе жаралары айдан ачык. Көңүл бурганыңыздар үчүн чоң рахмат, çok teşekkürler bildiremin. Rahmat.
Teşekkür ederiz. Okay, all people's presentations finished. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your support and contribution. Maybe let's meet next Congress. Thank you again.